Shant, could you tell us how you got involved with the Near East Fund and what projects are you involved with, especially vis-a-vis Armenia?
Well, my involvement with the Near East Foundation really happened by chance. It just so happened that one of my business partners, a fellow by the name of Jeff Thompson, was the chairman of the Near East Foundation at the time. We were working together. I didn't know anything about the Near East Foundation or the Near East Relief, and because of my name with the IAN, which gives it away, he approached me and he said, "Do you know anything about the Near East Relief and the Near East Foundation?" And of course I didn't. And he began to tell me the story, and here I am, having lived in the U.S. almost my whole life, and I knew absolutely nothing about the U.S.-American efforts. Not only that, I had not even realized that my own family had been affected by it, particularly my my grandparents, who several of whom have actually went through American orphanages, not necessarily the Near East Relief, but other American missionary orphanages. And so this became, for me, somewhat of a reawakening of my own past and my own family history. And as I began to delve into it, I was just amazed at how this amazing humanitarian story had largely been forgotten. And if you think about the beginning of the Near East Relief back in 1915, it was really prompted by President Woodrow Wilson and Ambassador Henry Morgenthau and a group of prominent American businessmen that was really the who's who of American elite at that time, organized this effort with a modest objective of raising a mere $100,000 to help some Armenians immigrate to the U.S. It turned out to be, at the time, the largest international humanitarian effort that had been undertaken by the United States. Of course, there have been many since then, but this was the beginning. They were the pioneers. This organization became the forerunner to USAID and later the Marshall Plan, as well as the United Nations Development Program. So how could this organization, which was founded around the same time as the Red Cross and the Salvation Army and the YMCA, have been forgotten? And that's a story that Michael really touches on in his book. And for me, having read that, it was enlightening to me to see what had happened in the early 20s, and as the Cold War emerged, how the Armenian issue essentially took a back burner. So what I decided to do, when I took over the chairmanship, and with the full support of our board, we decided to restart our efforts in Armenia as a symbolic gesture. We began about several years ago. I began exploring what type of work we should do, and it really came down to there were so many other organizations doing great work on infrastructure and education and schools and building roads that we didn't want to replicate that. So we decided we would focus on our strengths, which would be on economic development, targeting the rural villages in Armenia, which so desperately need support. So a little over a year ago, about a year and a half ago, we partnered up with Armenia Fund USA, who's our partner, and we found a local partner in Armenia and developed a program focused on micro-enterprise development, and we matched it up with microcredit in order to provide training and helping people establish business ideas and identifying competitive advantages that they have or their village brings, and providing them with access or teaching them how to apply for loans and in order to pursue their business interests. And now we're also about to launch a micro-franchising concept, and yes, it's the same franchising concept that you would see here with the McDonald's, but on a much smaller scale, where we will be working with the German equivalent of USAID called GTZ, and working with them to establish internet clubs in about 20 villages surrounding Lake Sevan. And it's our intention that they would be owned and operated by women entrepreneurs. So it's these types of initiatives that have a real impact on how Armenia develops going forward. So it's not only that we have to focus on the history and the past, but we have to figure out how to move forward.